What is up, guys? Today's bottling day. You've seen the unboxing, you've seen brew day, fermentation is complete. Today we're gonna get the bottle this beauty, fresh squished IPA from Northern Brewer, the extract kit that I did in the last video. In that video you saw that I talked about getting the incorrect hops in the recipe kit from Northern Brewer. I was supposed to have Mosaic hops included, but they sent Chinook hops instead. I went ahead and started the brew day. I used Chinook when I should have used Mosaic at certain points. I knew that would change the flavor profile of the beer, but I also knew that it wouldn't create a bad beer necessarily. It would still taste good, it's just that the flavor profile wouldn't be what you would normally expect from that kit. As I was going through that day and through the brewing process, I got the email back from Northern Brewer that actually recommended waiting to brew this until they could send me the correct hops, which they did. They express shipped it, they paid for it. They also included a nice pint glass for my trouble and inconvenience. So shout out to Northern Brewer, customer service, thank you, top notch. So just a couple of things here before we get into the bottling process. Original gravity came in at 1.064. Final gravity came in at 1.012. So ABV is going to be somewhere around 6.8%. Very happy, very pleased with that. Ready to get into the bottling process. Come along, let's see what it's like. Cheers. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and start sanitizing a few of the things that we're going to need today. First thing we're going to do today is start sanitizing a few of the pieces that we'll need throughout the bottling process. The first of which is going to be 48 brown 12-ounce beer bottles. They're brand new. Got them with the kit. Went ahead and just bought brand new ones. I've washed them all. Now then it's time to start putting them down. I've got a cooler just here off screen. Gonna put the sanitizer in there, and then drop the beer bottles in on top of it. Sanitizer's now in the cooler. Time to start adding the bottles. Let them get nice and clean and sanitized before we bottle this beer. Was I even recording a while ago? What the f? So as you guys can see, I've got a few components in this plastic tub as well. I've got the bottle capper, the plastic tubing. My bottling wand is in here along with 60 bottling caps. Everything's pretty much sanitized at this point. The inside of the bottling bucket, I made sure to turn the spigot on when I was dispensing the sanitizer into the cooler that I'm using to sanitize the bottles with. That's sanitized. The small bits and pieces are sanitized. One thing that I'm going to do, it's off camera right here, I need to sanitize that. I've got one of these orange igloo coolers. It is just the size, a little bit higher than my 5-gallon bucket. So I'm going to move the fermenter here, let it set and settle after moving it for just a moment, and then we'll start kind of going through the process to get it over into the bottling bucket. One of the other things I'm doing today for bottling is using Northern Brewer's Fast Prime. So instead of using sugar, corn sugar, cane sugar, whatever it is, tablets, fizz drops into the bottles, I'm not going to mess with any of that. I'm going to use this, which is basically sugar water. This goes right into the bottling bucket. I fill this back up with clean water. This has been sanitized as well. That goes all into the bottling bucket. Rack the beer on top of it, and I've primed all of my beer ready to condition in the bottles. But let's go ahead and get the Fast Prime solution added. I'm going to pop the top on this. Again, this has been completely sanitized. Straight into the sanitized bottling bucket. I will fill that bottling bucket back up with water. Whoa, I made a mess with that, but I'm still trying to get this 16 ounces of water back into the can. Oh, water's going everywhere. All right, we've got that filled up, 16 ounces of water. That also goes on top of the Fast Prime solution. All good, shouldn't need this anymore. So let's keep going. All right, next steps. Move the beer from the fermenter into the bottling bucket. Remember, everything's been sanitized. First thing that I'm going to do, I've got some sanitizer in the spray bottle. I'm going to sanitize this spigot here really well into the inside as much as I can. I don't want to contaminate this beer with anything. All right, let's get our plastic tubing that's been sitting here in the sanitizer. My bottling bucket is sanitized, so I'm just going to drop this right down in here. Probably want it to be on the bottom anyway, because this is the point where you don't want to introduce any oxygen to this if you can help it. So holding it above there and just letting it drain in, not good for your beer. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that wasn't easy. I don't know if I didn't have my water heated up enough. I did finally get it on up just past the first barb on the spigot. So all the sediment is well below the spigot line. So I'm gonna go ahead and start racking this off into the bottling bucket. We're almost there, guys. Just a little bit left to come out of the fermenter into the bottling bucket. Once that finishes, I've got my sanitized spoon. I'm going to give it a very, very, very gentle stir just to mix in all of the fast prime solution throughout all of the beer. Do not want to create any oxygen, so it's going to be a very slow stir. I think the transfer is pretty well complete. You guys can see we're right there at that 5-gallon line. I don't really feel comfortable pulling anything more off of this. I can already see there is some sediment in there, and I'm going to try to limit that as much as I can. So first thing that we'll do from here, I've got the fermenter spigot turned off. We're going to go ahead and remove, and that goes right back into my sanitized solution. Make sure we get that all the way down in there nice. The other thing I'm going to go ahead and do right now, finish sanitizing the lid so I can go ahead and cover the beer to limit the amount of bacteria or contaminants that can get into it. So just like earlier, anything that touches this now has to be fully sanitized. Spray bottle with sanitizer goes into the spigot, all over it and around it, up inside of it, just like I did with the fermenter. Move things around just a little bit down here. I've got where I'm going to put my bottles in the container that they came in. It's got nice dividers inside of it. Just help me transport and move it upstairs. First thing I'm going to do, I've got my sanitized tubing. I'm going to stick that down into a pot of almost boiling water. Keep it in there for just a few minutes like that. Then it should be good and pliable to put your bottling tube into it, your bottling wand into it. Bottling wand goes into the sanitized solution. This end, the empty end that's going to go to my bottling bucket, goes in the hot water as well. Let's get to cracking. So open this up and just going to let the bottles drain of any liquid that they've got. Would help if I turned on the flow of the beer. Now then you can depress. Beer is now filling up the bottle, and what I've read is that you basically want to take this right to the very top, almost to overflowing. That way when you remove the bottling wand, the liquid will decrease and you should be good to cap. I think that worked a treat. I've got one cap, my capper, that's been sanitized as well. Goes right on the top of that. Here's my first capped beer. Repeat, 47 more bottles. And I'm calling it at 44 bottles. Feels like that's the most that I'm going to be able to get drawn off this. I don't know if I've got a piece of tube or a particle or whatever it is, maybe up in here, maybe down at the end of the wand, the bottle filler. something's just not letting this fill up the bottles the way that it should be. I've had this tilted, I've had it picked up onto my shoulder to make sure I had enough gravity coming down. It's really slow to a trickle. So I'm gonna call it right there. 44 bottles. It feels pretty good for my first batch. 44 bottles, guys. That's what I've just filled up. I wish I had started a timer to see how long that took. It took a while. I may have some sort of sediment or something clogging the spigot here, or maybe at the end of the bottling one. Those last two bottles, number 43 and 44, took a while to fill up. Even when I lifted this up and tilted it to the side to get more flow in, it just didn't really speed it up any. So we're gonna call it 44 bottles ready to condition over the next 2 weeks, and then it'll be time to crack one. So that's a wrap on bottling day. Like I said, 44 bottles in the boxes, ready to condition. I'm going to take them upstairs after this, let them condition at room temperature. 2 weeks after that, put them in the fridge, crack a cold one, see how well it's done. Appreciate you guys following me along on this journey. Thank you for the likes and the comments. If you're not already, please consider subscribing and smash that bell so you get a notification every time we post a video here on OZK Outdoor Brewing. And remember, drink responsibly. See ya.